You can stick your other arm out, connect that bar to it, right? So see my arms are 90 degrees. From there, that's gonna give you that nice 90-degree angle overhead. All right, so let's have everybody do that first to find their grip. Yeah, exactly. Even then, you had a little bend in that top elbow. Yeah, and then that's gonna be that right there. You bring that in a little bit closer. Yeah, if you can. Yeah, 90 degrees right there. Awesome. Awesome, then we can bring that down, right? So the next thing we gotta find is that foot position. Foot position for a snatch is gonna be slightly outside of hips. This is where if you wanna externally rotate, find some pigeon toe, you can, but if you're more comfortable keeping that more straight in line with those feet, that's okay too. That's more of a comfortability thing from here. All right, awesome. So what we'll do is we're just gonna start from that power position shrug, right? So picking up the bar, starting with straight arms, you're gonna do a little dip down to that power position, so that bar should be right on your hip flexors, that chest is over the bar. You're gonna drive your legs into the ground, stand tall, shrug with those shoulders. Yep, and with this, you really wanna emphasize holding at the top so you can feel that balance. Yep, have everybody do 3 to 4 of these. See it, Kim? Ready? This is where you can emphasize nice long arms, more of a shrug at the top there. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yep, feet are good right there. You can go half step out wider, and you can think about toes out a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, nice one. So you can get grip a little wider from there. Yeah, it's gonna set more 90 degrees. And with that, try not to lean back at the top. Yeah, think about like covering the bar from rain at the top. Yeah. That's it. Good dude. Good doing? All right, once everybody does that 2 to 3 times, we'll go to that next snatch high pull, right? So same idea with that leg drive. All we're gonna emphasize here is getting those elbows higher, creating a little bit more height on that bar, so you guys can set the bar down real quick. Right, it's all done with this for you, so nice long arms here, dipping down to that same power position, extending, driving those elbows up to the sky. Right, and we're still gonna emphasize that slight pause at the top here, just so you can feel that balance. Make sure that bar is not going in front of you, or you're not leaning too far back here.
Are you holding your thumb, or is it just...
Yes, so this is hook grip, so this is something that's gonna be beneficial when you start snatching cleaning. So essentially, hook grip is if you grab the bar. When you grab onto the bar, you're gonna wrap your thumb around first, and then you're gonna grab onto your thumb. So this is really just to help secure your arms to the bar. One, it's gonna help you not have so much arm tension. So if I just have that grip that you would typically start out with, you're gonna have a lot more forearm tension, and you're gonna wanna pull with your arms early, especially if you're off the floor. That's gonna enforce more of this. If you have that hook grip, it's gonna let you have a little more lax forearms, help that connection kind of stay with your legs. And the second thing it helps you do is when you go for that nice vertical extension, if you have no hook grip, then it just takes a lot of grip demand. When you're going for that extension, like that's where you'll see the bar might fling out in front of people's hands. Hook grip just allows you to stay control of the bar through that whole range of motion. It's definitely something that if you want to give a shot today, you can. It does take a little bit just to get your thumbs to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Get used to it. Exactly, and that can allow you to kind of like angle your hands a little bit more. Yeah. Yep, so before it was just the shrug where you were keeping long arms. Now you're gonna hit that same shrug and then carry that momentum with those elbows.
Yeah, that's the hard part. smoking myself.
Yeah, so I think what's going on with you on is you're almost staying too far over the bar. Do you feel you're kind of like falling forward at the top? So you can think about leaning back slightly at the top and really think about stretching your head and your feet so you get everything out of your body. Yeah. There we go, that's better one. Yeah, and that's gonna help you hold that balance at the top a little bit more. You feel that? Yeah, like what's happening with you right now is when you're extending, you're almost going, you see I'm kind of tipping forward at the top, right? And then I'm gonna be over the bar, so that's not gonna give a clear path for that bar to go. When you get here, yeah, really think about like driving head to the sky, stretching through your body, and that's gonna kind of allow you to lean back to get that, to clear that road for that bar. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's going to be the first exercise that we did, just the shrug. Yeah, just so they can feel this position, and then eventually when they can get that without that happening, that's when you're going to start to emphasize getting that little more height of that bar. All right, how's everybody feeling? Good. Good. How we feel about Right, so now we're working on that snatch pull. We've got some elevation of the bar. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna work on some power snatches. So I would definitely say start these with some PVC pipes just so we can really get that transition. Then we can start with some of the barbells. So you're gonna go, starting from that same position, you're gonna go down to that same power position, right? From there, it's gonna end up being that same high pull to start, but right as you're reaching that top of that position, you're gonna pick your feet up, punch those arms up overhead to receive that bar. Right, so start nice and tall here. And then we're really just emphasizing nice aggressive transition and then feet nice and flat when you land there. All right, let's grab some PVC pipes and give it a shot.
Thank you.
All right, so let's have everybody do 3 to 4 here with that PVC pipe, and then we can go barbells if you feel comfortable.
Wow, I went really high. Too high.
After holding 45 pounds.
Are you supposed to slam?
So this is where, and Erica just asked a good question, are you supposed to slam, like stomp your feet? This is where you'll kind of typically see 2 roads that people go down. They're either gonna be more stompy or more glidey, right? Where they either have that nice aggressive stomp when they go through, or it's almost like they don't even pick their feet up. Both methods are gonna work. Method 1 with the stomp is really gonna emphasize a nice aggressive punch under, but one thing you'll see is you might lack the extension because you're so early to want to pick your feet up, stomp them into the ground. You're just going to lose the last little bit of power you can get from continuing to push to the ground. And then on the flip side, if you're more of that glidey where you don't necessarily have as much of a stomp, you're going to get more out of the extension. But because you hang out there for a little bit longer, you're going to have to be really aggressive with that pull and punch under, or else you're not going to be able to meet that bar at the highest point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So that I was gonna say, this is where right now you're stomping, you're going like here where you're not really open up. Think about leaving your feet on the ground through that whole thing.
Leaving my feet on.
Yeah, like you extend, but like there's a tack through your toes that's keeping your toes on the ground.
I feel like
Yeah, and once you get that faster transition, that's gonna help you land and like cushion with more of your legs. Yeah. Let's throw some other PVC pipes around. That's good. So what's happening here is you're just using your arms, right? So when you're going through, right before you would finish that extension, that's when you start to pull up with those arms. So let's go back to that one exercise we were doing, that snatch high pull, where you're not getting those elbows up, but you're just emphasizing head to the sky, everything out of your legs, a little shrug there. And then hold for 2 seconds at that top position. Yeah, good. Good, exactly. And do that same thing, but as you're finishing that extension, drive those elbows into the sky. Yeah, nice. Yep, good. And that's better because before you were almost staying too far over the bar where you were like here and then there's just no room for the bar to go. Now when you almost get that like stretch through your body, you're gonna end up getting that nice tall, slight lean back to clear that road. Yeah, nice. Good, awesome. Now let's see that power snatch. Yeah, that's going to help you out with that transition, and you're getting better extension here. Good. takes a while to understand. And now I think the one thing there is you're almost just getting a little bit too far behind the bar, right? So see when I go down, see how my knees are so far forward, but I'm still like back under my heels. That's just going to be working on that RDL. So keeping that chest over the bar, like letting that chest fall when you go into that hinge position to really get those shoulder blades, chest over the bar, so you can use those legs through that whole pull. Does that make sense? Yeah, let's give that one more shot. Yeah, that's better right there, better position. Yeah, exactly, like, right? Like driving that chest forward, hips back a little bit. Yeah, just so scaps are right over the bar. Yeah. Yeah, and now that you have that, right, think about head to the sky. Yeah, exactly, and that's gonna help you keep that bar over that midfoot. Yeah, better there, yeah. Good, exactly, yeah. And that's just gonna help everything kind of stay in between your feet, right before, when you're getting too far over and too far behind it, you're just gonna end up taking that jump forward, and that's really gonna help that stay straight up and down there.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, how's everybody else doing? You wanna try one of these, Juan? Let's see it, Kim. Ooh. Right, so from the top, emphasize little, so look at me real quick, emphasize a little more T-spine extension and long arms, right? When you're going down, you're loading up through those arms, let that bar move with you as you go through that pull. There we go, that's better. Good, and think about more glide, right? So keep those big toes glued into the ground. Don't have so much stomp. Look for a little softer footwork with that. Good, and you feel that helps that balance and that catch? Excellent. How are we doing over here? How's it looking, Dalen? No? There we go, Arca. Bars. All right, awesome. And so then we can go through one more exercise here just to get that kind of transition to that full lift. And that's just going to be power position, power snatch into overhead squat. So the same thing we were doing, and this is definitely going to be a little bit harder with that mobility, T-spine, hip requirement. So you're just going to receive in that overhead, in that power position, right? Catch here, ride that into that overhead squat. And on these, if you feel comfortable, what you should emphasize to get closer to catching in a lower position is receiving that power lower every time, right? So that first one, you catch nice and high, ride that down. Second one, if that's feeling comfortable and the balance feels really good, right? Try to catch that power position one a little bit lower, ride that down, and that's how you're gonna kind of work to getting comfortable receiving in lower positions here. Does that make sense?
So it's better to receive in a lower position?
So it's not going to be better, but if you're trying to do the full lift, you're going to be able to get more weight in it.
Okay.
right? Because when you have to catch in power position, when you have to catch higher, that means you need to put more vertical translation on the bar. So you essentially need to put more force into it to get it to move higher, so you don't have to catch it as low, right? When you catch in a full snatch, you're only gonna pull that up to here, but because you're pulling under, you're gonna be able to do more just because you don't have to put as much force to get that bar moving high. Does that make sense? Yep. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Generally speaking, when you like work with athletes, you're not really looking for them to go full range of motion. You're looking for power, explosiveness, that would be like more on the strength side of things and whatnot. Like if you're competing or you're trying to max out, you know, that's when you want to hammer the full range of motion. You know, but we're trying to get powerful, explosive. You want to be in a strong position when you receive that bar. So you probably see like in a strength conditioning facility where like athletes are going full range of motion snatch. If that makes sense here. But if you're a gen pop climber trying to max out, or trying to push yourself for a goal, for a specific goal, or whatever that is, you know, that's where you see competitive athletes kind of going people wrong. That makes sense. These are the things we would do to help that, essentially.
All right, let's give them a shot.
Same thing, but we're trying to
Yep,
ride
so
it down.
you're gonna, yeah, exactly. Receiving that power position, from there, drop down into overhead squat. Yep, right, so one thing about that one too is arms are a little bit wide right here. Yeah, you can bring them in a little bit so that bar is like right at your hip crease. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Below knees.
Yep, so just that same position, right to that mid thigh. Yeah.
One thing I'd say is wherever, keep your eyes.
Good, one thing for that dip, right now it's kind of all hips when you get through it, right where it's here. Look for even hip and knee bend. So it's more like vertical drop, vertical drive. Yeah, exactly.
I see, I was doing that.
Yeah.
More, kind of
Yeah, like more of like a squat there.
Should it be two separate movements, the catch then squat?
Starts as two separate, and then you're kind of smoothing out the transition.
Yeah, I'm catching it at the bottom.
Yeah, so right, you're almost catching that on the way down, where you're like here waiting for it. Think about catching that nice and high, riding that down. Yeah, exactly. And the little pause, like throw a little pause in between that catch and that way down, lock in balance position, straight down from there. Good, so you're just getting a little, you were just getting a little far behind it, so when you extended, hips would go forward, and then you would have to chase it on the way to catch it, right? That's where we're just gonna emphasize vertical extension, head to the sky, just so you can get more vertical translation.
How where are your feet? Can I see your feet? Like, you're starting
Yeah,
here?
so I start, right, a little bit outside of hip width, pigeon toe out a little bit, right? So this is essentially my squat stance. And then I get here, right? When I catch, it's essentially like half step out to catch in a wider position.
You're going a little further out.
Yeah,
Does
yeah,
that
yeah.
just help you go down a little further?
Yeah, so it just helps, right? When my feet are so close here, especially with those arms up overhead, it's just gonna take a lot from ankles, knees, and hips to stay tall here. A little wider is gonna help you kind of cover more ground, keep more leg drive, especially with that bar up overhead. Yeah.
So you're going a little taller.
Yeah, it's just like,
Thank you. Sorry.
yep, exactly one, yeah.
That seems tough.
What do you say?
She's been doing this before?
Yeah, looks like she has. She's got the shoes. There you go. Nice. That's a lot better, limiting like how much that torso is going forward or back to keep more vertical extension there. Yeah. Anybody else want PVC?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you're extending, right? Think about getting distance, like you're stretching, extending through your body, get distance between head and feet.
Way too much distance.
Yeah, that's better limiting that jump forward. And then one thing to think about right now, when you're extending, you're trying to get height on the bar, right? Like you're looking to extend the bar up. You should be thinking more about extending your body up. Right? So the bar is traveling with you. Right now there's just a little separation where like when you're driving with your legs, when you're pulling under with your arms. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right? So from here, think about extending your body, pulling yourself under. Yeah, that's better extension. Good. And then I would say right now you're a little far on the other side of glide, a little more stomp there. Right? When you're pulling yourself under, pick the feet up to reposition. Yeah, exactly, Erica. Nice. A little more extension there. Here we go. How's that feel? No, that was a better jump. How do those feel?
Good.
Yeah, better as far as like your timing. Better as far as your timing of when you're using legs versus when you're using arms.
Yeah. Should I try a bar or am I gonna get hurt?
Try 35-pound bar, yeah. That's a 45 guy. Well, I think this one right here is a 35. Yeah.
Which one?
The one by Kim, yeah. There we go. Ready? Drop that bar for a sec. All right, so right now what's happening through that snatch, when you get down into that hang position, you just get a lot of tension through your arms, right? So when you get here, you get down, and then you initiate with those arms, and you start to get tension right here, right? That's what you really need to think about, long arms, and then that bar moves with you, right? Just like I was telling to Erica, don't think so much about trying to get height on the bar and like extending through the bar. Think more about extending through your head, extending through your body, and then pulling yourself under there. Yeah.
Crispy.
Yep, so head to the sky. Here we go. Yeah, and that timing's gonna be a lot better there. Yeah, I would say bring those arms in a little bit, you know, like right now, yeah, you were at like the base of that bar, then that bar was contacting you like right here. A little bit longer is gonna help you keep longer arms. And yeah, I think chest up here, like find some T-spine extension. Yeah, try from there. Here we go.
One thing I want to point out, if you're just learning a snatch or you're first teaching someone an Olympic lift or a snatch, right, weight can sometimes, like the weight of the bar can sometimes constrain the movement into looking correct, but not necessarily being correct, right? If you ever look at a really expert weightlifter, someone that's doing it a long time, they'll be going through their warm-ups and every single one will look exactly the same until they're like at 95% of their one rep max because they have the pattern down so well. So it's important to make sure you get the patterning really good with just a bar or a PVC pipe because it can hide mobility restrictions that people have. Like for me in particular, like it's really tough to overhead squat with just the PVC, but with some weight, you know, it kind of forces me into a position that works. So yeah, like practice with the bar a lot is the main point I wanted to make. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
And like be super intentional with your warm-ups too.
Yeah.
Your warm-ups will dictate how kind of like the rest of your session will go. They're kind of like going in at last stage, but just being more glute orientated with my snatch here, then I'm gonna be more glute orientated when I start pushing weight, and then I'm jumping and chasing the bar. Versus like what I do is like when I'm doing my clean snatches, I think you take the first one, I look back over my column. I'm not getting vertical enough. Do the next set. Get nice and vertical here. Focus on those technique stuff I gotta use, and then that way I'm translate directly into what I'm trying to do with my snatch and my clean.
And then another thing to think about just with all the cueing that you're giving, so especially with kind of like how we see things, a lot of it is going to be a spectrum, right? And you'll even see that with that idea of more stompy versus that more glidey, right? You're too far over the bar, too far behind the bar. And that's where even when you do those cues, you might make a correction where you're too far behind it. Next set, you're too far over it. So it's really about bringing those two spaces closer together, right? Somebody's way too stompy and they're cutting that extension short. We'll emphasize more glide just to bring them back to that center line, if that makes sense for everybody. All right.
Note here too. I don't know if we down here a little bit. No snatch, no clean, no jerk will look the same. We all have different proportions, leg length, different size fingers. So vertical extension for one person might be straight up and down, and that's great. For someone else, it might be a little bit more aggressive hip extension here, so that way that bar can transfer forward. So comparing yourselves to like Olympic athletes and whatnot, that's where people get in trouble because they utilize their limb lengths and their anatomy to an expertise level of technique, if that makes sense. So comparing yourself to those guys who are trying to like mimic their technique will just kind of lead you down the wrong road, if that makes sense. We all have our own way of using our anatomy.
All right, how's everybody feeling? You want to get like 5 more minutes of snatches and then we can move on to cleans? All right, let's go. Okay, have everybody get 1 more 2 attempts each.
So snatch means it's landing overhead.
Yes, yeah. Straight arms from the floor, catching up overhead. Yeah, clean you catch on front rack. Yeah. Good. Ready? From that position right here, right? I think the biggest thing for you to work on right now is just that pressure from the bottom, right? So weight's back in your heels, that chest is up. Think about leaning slightly forward, bring that weight to the toes here. Yep, so go down to that hang position. Yeah, so knees will actually come back, hips forward, right? Like right now you're like here, get those hips up higher, slight lean forward there. Yep, and you feel more of that weight to that ball of the foot. Go, good, go for that, just high pull right now. Yeah, and then from there, just drive heels off the ground, right? Drive that head to the sky. Good, nice. That's gonna help you get more vertical at that top position. Yeah. Go, nice.
I think I did.
So like when you're up here, because how do I'm overthinking it, but like how are you getting, the bar's not going to be directly up.
The bar will be, so as you go down.
Pretty good. Little jump forward there, but let's see one more.
Right, so I'm still.
Yeah, so same idea. Think about, right, do that high pull, and at the top, really think about squeezing glutes, leaning back a little bit. So just do a high pull here. There we go. That's a little bit of there. Yeah. That's better. That's better. Yeah. It's just because right now, right, when you get to the top, you're still here. So I lean forward, right? You can think about like head back, head to the sky a little bit. All right, so do that pull a little slower, right? Like from here, slowly push to the ground. Then when you get here, slow extension.
There you go. Yep, lock those arms out, triceps, shoulders nice and tight.
Good, head to the sky, lean back, yeah. That's it. Yeah. There we go.
After you do it a couple times.
There we go. Good, and I definitely think like right now it's really clean transition, really good stomp, where this is where I would be looking to pull you a little bit more towards the line of trying to like, imagine you got tacks glued to your toes, so you keep those toes in, a little more glidey for that whole thing. Yeah, smoother, yeah. Here we go, yeah, nice. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and that's gonna help keep that bar over that midfoot. Like even when you feel on that first one, I almost felt like it was gonna go back. That's just because the first few you were doing, you're almost like catching in front of you. So that's actually that position we wanna be in. Just has to get used to that bar being like behind that ear there.
The last one I go T-spine back.
Yeah. Here we go, Kim.
You said this wouldn't count for my workout for the day.
Go.
So Bryson and I have done a really good job of laying out basically every single piece that you can use to like teach someone how to snatch, right? So I'm sure you guys noticed from the way they were coaching you, like if there was a specific spot where you were like struggling, you'll be able to see it like, with your eye, and then you have a specific exercise that you can just point to, right? And then you can just practice that, practice the pattern, and then reintegrate it back in. So.
All right, great job everybody. You wanna sit back down and we can get into some cleans.